some photographs of the rooms up here as they looked originally. So we do have a lot of original features up here. What's mostly changed is the furniture now that it's a restaurant. So these pictures, so I've only got a couple of things I'd like to show you before we have all of that free time themselves. Some pictures of the rooms as they were set up originally. I will come around, of course. So we'll start with the room at the top. This was originally a dining room. And that's the first room that we came through. As soon as we left the elevator, we came to the first restaurant, or the first part of the restaurant, and that was originally the dining room. So there was previously that big table was enough to seat 30 guests at once. No, in the first room that we came through. So that table's now not there. That's the first room.
Yeah. He sent the thing.
Okay. And then we came into this room, which is the last room up here. So now, of course, behind you will look up the stairs. Lots of original features in there. So all of the stonework is original up here. The light fixtures on the walls in there are original. The wood beam ceiling. And also the fireplace is original. But when you see the fireplace up close, it does look somewhat different to the photograph. It's very shiny, kind of clean lines when it was first put in. When you see the fireplace today, it is quite damaged. And there's lots of pieces missing. And as I say, lots and lots of souvenirs were taken after the war, and that included pieces of that marble fireplace. So you'll see where chipped away and the chunks taken. But what's left is original. And then the photo at the top, that's this room now. So we don't have the furniture in there anymore. But you can see the light fittings are original. And the wooden panelling through here, in the most part, it is original. There are a couple of panels that were replaced at a later date because they were damaged, but most of it is original. If you look closely, you can tell the replacements because they're not quite the same colour. So, for example, I'll come back, but otherwise, it's a type of Swiss pie. So that's the whole layout up here at the top. There's three main rooms. In addition to those rooms, there was the kitchen, which is now the restaurant kitchen. There were bathrooms, which you will find in the same place. They've just been updated over time. They are directly opposite the elevator, if you use them. And then there are two just very small rooms that are not open to the public today, unfortunately. One was just a small room for the guards, so when they came up they had security with them, and they had their own guard room for the guards to kind of take breaks when they weren't necessary. And then there was just a very small study up here as well. And that's the whole layout up here. Then you also have this corridor which leads to the outside. And my next photograph is a photograph of Hitler in the corridor there. So this corridor was originally the sun terrace. So there were sun lounges in there to begin with, they're not there anymore. You can also see in the photograph those big archways, stone archways, which you will see when you head along the corridor. Those those archways are still there. So the archways themselves are original. And what's different is they now, you'll see, are filled in with glass panels. The glass panels weren't there originally, so it was open originally for the sun to come in. The glass panels were added later on. When they opened the building up to the public, of course, it's quite a drop. So for the safety reasons, for the same reason these windows are locked in here, because it's just too dangerous to have arrangements that no one falls out. And this was the sun terrace up here with the Eagle's Nest. When you head outside, you'll see that there is an outdoor terrace there for the restaurant. But as I mentioned already earlier on, that outdoor terrace that you'll find is not original. That was added later on after it got open to the public. So we've already discussed that the famous terrace was the one down at the house.
Picture.
Okay. And the Eagle's Nest was then first opened up to the public as it is today in 1952. And you'll recall that 1952 is when I said that the ruins of the rest of the compound at the lower level were all blown up and destroyed. And although the Eagle's Nest was not left in a ruin, I say no bomb damage, they did think that the best thing to do, because of where it had come from, as a sensitive history, they thought the best thing to do would be to tear it down. The reason they didn't, a local governor from Berchtesgaden, he made a petition against that. He didn't think it was the right thing to do to just completely erase it. So based on that petition, it was decided that it could remain standing, and they decided to open it up to the public. But there were a number of conditions. They were mindful that it should be done in the right way. So firstly, since 1952, it's run as a restaurant. And the idea behind that was to keep it neutral. And also to think about whether money, if they're going to open to the public, charge people to come visit, what they were going to use it for money. So the building itself is owned by the state of the area. The money that we will pay to visit, they set up back at that time, they set up a foundation. The money we pay to visit, I mean, firstly, there's quite a lot of costs associated with keeping everything running, and the maintenance and so forth, keep running the buses, paying that company to do that and so on. But afterwards, what's left over, they take a percentage of that money, they give it to the foundation, and the foundation then distributes that money between local charities throughout this whole area. So as I say, thinking about what they're going to do with money, not just making some very rich, having the Eagle's Nest opened up. Okay. Almost time for you to have that free time that I keep promising to take a closer look at everything. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention, practicality, so you know where everything is, and of course, most importantly, what time and where we need to be to head back down. So, firstly, if any of you need the restrooms, as I say, back inside the building, they are just directly opposite the elevator, they're free of charge. You can of course go back through, I know we came through quickly just to avoid me causing this disturbance in the restaurant, but you can go back through, take a close look, take pictures and things like that, of course. It is a restaurant, I know we just had lunch, but if you wanted to grab a drink or something in the restaurant, you've got that chance, of course. You don't need a reservation or to ask anyone. If you would like to sit in the restaurant and have a drink or something, you can just sit down. That is with the exception, so right now they're not serving in the big room just here. And the smaller restaurant room is open, and they might have somebody outside open and see when you get out there. They also have on the outside here, they have a little wooden kiosk, a little wooden hut, which sells souvenirs, and they also sell drinks at the kiosk there. If you wanted to grab something, kind of take away to keep moving with. There is also a walking path that leads to the peak of the mountain in this direction. So when you head through this corridor, you'll find yourself outside. You've got the restaurant terrace. Keep going, there's that kiosk I mentioned, and if you keep going, there's a path that leads you to the peak of the Kalkstein Mountain if you wanted to head up there to the top. There's no other buildings or anything up there, it's just the peak of the mountain for views and pictures and so on, if you'd like to do that. Most importantly is what time we need to meet back together to catch that bus, because they do run very efficiently. But as I say, you've got plenty of time to yourself. So, once you're ready, we're not going to go back together as a group. You've got free time completely until we reboard the bus. Once you're ready, you're going to go back down in the elevator, out of that tunnel, and on that platform there where we just got dropped off, that's where I'm going to meet you to board the bus. And if everybody could please be there at 3:45. So 15 minutes before 4 o'clock, 3:45. Okay, everybody, 3:45.